Hey guys, we're back at the Hacienda here, and I just want to talk about a few things. First, let's talk about what I got for completing my journey across the country in this old thing. So on the hangar deck of the Hornet, they gave us a few things. A package with this photo from Dugway. It's cute. It's a little low resolution, but it's still cute. Got the Cal Ranch Stores sticker. You guys might remember my comments on the Cal Ranch store. It was kind of like, well, it was no Tractor Supply. And two of these large Transcontinental Convoy stickers. And the pièce de résistance was one of Brad's dog tags. That, yeah, that's really neat. I'll keep that. That's a nice memento. Now, in years past, as I understand, they gave out canvas tool rolls and a series of pins. You know, pins that you can, lapel pins that say like 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, regional section, etc. And from what I heard, they were a hit. People loved them. They displayed them. The canvas tool roll, you could display it, put your pins in it, your mementos, your knickknacks from the convoy. And I heard they were too expensive this year, even though the registration fee went up. It doubled from the last convoy, from the last 09 convoy. It just kind of doesn't add up to me, and I'm sure there's a reason for that, but if convoy leadership is... Watch, I got bugs on the front of my hood blocks. That's funny. If convoy leadership is watching this, I strongly suggest you get back to that, because people love it. People loved it. The people I talked to were disappointed that this is what we got. We didn't get the tool rolls, etc. So, without complaining too much, that's what I heard through the grapevine. This is an infrared thermometer that you can get in like the cooking aisle. It's made for temping out meat. So you just point and pull the trigger, and it has, let's see if we can get in the dark. Here we are. It has a laser. There, you can see the laser. It has active temperature readings. I saw one fella with one of those really expensive infrared cameras that you can see the different, and I imagine they're really expensive. This was, my dad let me borrow this. This is his. Good to have. Digital air gauge. Good to have. I bought this on the road. This is one of those Walmart inverters. I used this every single day, and sometimes when I was going down the road. Now you might be saying, well, hey, I don't have 12 volts in my vehicle. It's an M series. It's 24 volts. Well, let me tell you something. You need to come up with a splitter or some way to get 12 volts in your vehicle. This is 2019. You know, you need 12 volts in your vehicle somehow, so you got to make it happen. Yeah. Guy behind me, Kevin, remember? He had one of those, it's an adapter you plug into your 24 volt slave receptacle, you know what I mean? And it had USB ports on it, and he was charging his phone off of that. That's okay. I think that's a great idea. Get one of those, sure, but you need 12 volts in your vehicle. You need 120 in your vehicle to charge your stuff. This is one of those 12 volt. This is a 12 volt CFL that my dad got in one of those solar charging kits, you know, and it had like a 1/4-inch audio jack plug on it. Well, I soldered in this. Where were we at? That VFW that didn't really want us there. I forget where that was. Was that Nebraska? Or Iowa? Or was it Illinois? Anyways, I soldered this up, moved the switch into the light, and what I did was I would plug this into my 12 volt, okay? And then I could either hang this in the cab of the Jeep, or I could take it back through the back window of the Jeep and hang it in the trailer. And there's my light. Very low draw, very low, very bright light for what it is, for all that it costs you in watt hours. It's very cost effective. Yeah, let's find some other stuff that I think you might need. You need a full jerry can. Keep a full jerry can on your vehicle. Get a jerry can that doesn't leak and fill it and keep it full. There are some times where you'll have to stop where you're going to need this, and it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because if you run out of fuel on the road, you just create a huge problem for recovery that could have been completely avoided if you had fuel and fueled up. This is like one of the biggest things that the new people do when they come on the convoy after a rest day. Their fuel gauge doesn't work right or whatever. They run out of fuel. You just screwed the day up for some people. So make sure your vehicle's fueled and you have extra fuel, because you're going to need it. It behooves you to know where you're going at all times. Sometimes the maps that they give you are not enough, because think about this. Let me give you a scenario. You're bopping along, following the detailed map, and somebody makes a wrong turn, or you make a wrong turn, get caught at a light, something happens, and you're not on the detail anymore. You're going off the detailed map. You have no idea where you are. You have comms, but the channel might be so busy that you can't talk to anybody. Meanwhile, there's traffic going on. This is a big problem in the big cities. You have to know where you're going. And that touches back on having 12 volts in your vehicle at all times to charge something like that. If you're stuck in an M-Series vehicle that's 24 volts, you need to get 12 volts in that vehicle somehow, because you need a GPS unit. I mean, yeah, a lot of people got away without having one. But do you want to be put in a situation where you're lost in a city somewhere and you're the head of the convoy and everyone's following you down the wrong road? Do you want to be that person? I didn't want to be that person. That's why I brought the GPS. One of these. You need one of these. Okay? What else? Let me look around and see if I can find anything else that you absolutely need. You might not absolutely need this, but this is a neat little trick that I just thought of one day, and everyone I told it to loved it. To dry erase marker I got at the Dollar Tree. And whenever I need to do something, I just write it on there, like my shopping list. Typically my shopping list went down here. My to-do list went up here. So when I wanted to check my oil, check the tires, rotate the tires, do this or that, when I'm thinking about it going down the road, I just write it on the windshield so I don't forget. That worked very well, and I highly recommend you do that. That worked amazing. Yep. A+. You need one of these, a safety vest. This was like $5 at Harbor Freight. I got this one in Sharesville, Indiana. Yeah, we were stopped at in front of a Harbor Freight. I ran in and got this. I got my cargo net at the same time, which was really helpful. You need some chalk blocks. These were made. Lanny had these made, and they were great. Yeah, you need chalks and a vest. Well, you know, while I'm putting stuff away, I came across my shepherd's hooks here, and you know, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to bring a couple shepherd's hooks, because, well, I hung my trash bag on it, I hung my lamp on it, I hung my spatula on it when I was cooking. They're just really handy. Problem is, they're kind of seasonal. You can only find them a certain time of year, so get them when you can, or make one. Hey guys, So I'm sitting here in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania before work, and I'm going to do a little antiquing before I head on in. But look what came in the mail today. This is from the great state of Nevada, and I assume this is the let's see if we can do this one-handed, because this is exciting. I'm assuming this is the certificate for surviving US 50 in the sector of the loneliest highway in America. Wow, check that out. Signed by the governor. Well, that is awesome. That's going in a frame and is I'm blown away. Has my name on there and everything, and that is that's resume paper, kind of. It's like woven paper. Is there anything else in there? Yeah, there is. There's more. Oh, I gotta get this out of this wrapper. Oh, this is awesome. Hold on here. Hold on. We're gonna do it one-handed. And I survived pin. That's awesome. So while I'm thinking about it, I didn't really talk about vehicle maintenance stuff, what you should bring. And I think you should probably bring, well, you should have 1 quart of oil, 1 quart of transmission oil, whether that is, you know, whatever weight your transmission takes, funnel, rags, couple of fuel filters. You should start your journey with a new fuel filter, and then at the terminus of the convoy you should probably change and put a new filter on again, and just all your miscellaneous tools and stuff that you need to do work on your own vehicle. Yeah, I should have put a new fuel filter on the vehicle before I left. Am I in the lines? Yeah, I'm in the lines. Intake filter, a round of gaskets, a water pump gasket, some wires, a jumper wire to isolate electrical issues if you have any, bulbs, spare bulbs, stuff like that, stuff that you can change yourself. Just trying to, I said this in a previous video, try to think of the stuff that if you don't have it, it's going to be a real issue to get it. Particularly if you're in an M series vehicle or an antique like a G503, G506, you know, any of those vehicles. Bring specialty stuff if you can. If you have it laying around, you're like, oh man, if this breaks, I'm going to be screwed. Bring it. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. I think I touched on everything. Okay. Back to the video. Well, the rest of the video, rather. I'm going to squeeze this in the middle of the video somewhere. So, yeah. Going to do some antiquing. So, what don't you need to bring? Well, you're probably not going to need a Yeti this big, and I'll tell you why. It's convenient. You can put everything in there you want. And I went through about, when it's hot, 80 degrees, I went through about a 10-pound bag of ice per day. And when it was cool and cloudy, this thing full of ice would last 2 or 3 days. But you get fed so much. You don't need this full of food. Okay, you just don't need a cooler like that. A little cooler, yeah, okay. Not a big gigantic cooler. Let's see what else. Yeah. I'll have to dig it out. You know, I made this washing machine here set up I was so proud of, and it worked really well. Oh man, it worked really well. I didn't really need to take it. I justified having it by the fact that I could stay in camp while my clothes dried, but you can afford to take an hour and go to the laundromat and do a load of laundry. Looking back, Looking back, I don't know if I would have brought it. Same with the tent. That's one of those Boy Scouts wall tents, the kind you have at summer camp. And I have a set of poles that I made just for this. And out of the whole trip, there was one night, besides being in York, there was one night on the road that I set it up and used it. And that night I got bit by some kind of poisonous spider or something like that. I still have a mark on my leg from it. I didn't need to bring that. Tubes. I have this whole... You're going to want to be able to repair your tubes on the road. And I have this big kit that I took. Cardboard and an intake gasket. Cardboard for making gaskets on the road. Fuel pressure gauge. This is the tube that was in the tire that I ran over the nail. I patched it the next night. But I brought these old used tubes. Don't do it. Get brand new tubes. 12 volt air compressor. You need 12 volts. And then all the other tools for tire repair. Hey guys, so I'm trying to put this video together about what you need to bring and what you don't need to bring if you're going to drive your military vehicle across the country and then maybe back to wherever you're from. And I'm really harping on this 12 volts in your vehicle thing, and I just want to put out there that this entire video is my personal opinion from my own experience, but at the end of the day, you can get away with not having 12 volts in your vehicle. But it was the most helpful thing that I had done, was to wire that 12 volt socket into the vehicle. Because like you saw, I could run my lights off of it, I could run my inverter off of it, I could charge my phone off of it. I had that electric air compressor that I could plug in, and I did use that. When we were that night, the night that we stopped after I got that big nail in my tire, I got that thing torn down and got another tube in that rim and pumped it all up. I thought I was ready to go, right? I woke up the next morning and that tire was flat. And that's why I said don't try to bring used tubes. Get some new tubes. Yeah, they may be a little bit expensive, and the imported rubber these days is not the best quality, but you're better off using brand new tubes. So then the next morning here, you know, first gear 7 a.m., and here I am changing back to my spare to continue on in the convoy, whereas if I had just put a brand new tube in it and patched the tube that had a hole in it later on, I would have been good to go. So, something to think about. And yeah, like I say, you can get away without putting 12 volts in your vehicle, but it is very, very helpful, and I strongly recommend that you do that. Alright? Isn't Pennsylvania beautiful? Like I say, half of it's woods and half of it's farmland. I'm driving to Renee's house right now. We're out in Warriors Mark, Pennsylvania. Yeah, the interstate goes right there, but the interstate's 70 mile an hour speed limit. And with the top up, I only really like to run maybe 45 mile an hour max. And these 2-lane back roads are much more pretty anyways, right? Right.
coming down this beautiful hill into Tyrone, Pennsylvania, about halfway between State College and Altoona. And a couple more things came to mind that I recommend you think about doing if you're going to take your vehicle on the convoy. Particularly if you're going to be running an open vehicle, you're going to be camping, and it's just going to be you and the elements, so to speak. See, is there anything coming? Yeah, let's just pull off here and stop for a minute and we'll talk. Whoa there, horsey. Oh, jeez. I got my foot in my mouth today. Holy cow. The last thing I really recommend you think about is shelter. Reason being this. Particularly if you're in an open vehicle like a Jeep or, you know, something with the soft top or something exposed to the elements. If you're in a heavy with a camper conversion, then you're probably not going to need to worry about shelter when the weather gets bad, because you're in a place for a day, 2 days, 3 days at the max. It's hard in that short time to get a feel for the weather patterns in an area, and the weather can sneak up on you quickly. So it's good to have some kind of shelter thought out. Originally I was going to build something on the side of the trailer, like an awning, something I could take shelter under, and that didn't work out. So I just brought the Easy Up. And the Easy Up's a little bit bulky, it's a little bit heavy, but it was totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. In Gettysburg, I set it up for that older gentleman to keep him out of the sun. And any hot day, you can set it up in minutes. It's not like pitching an old Boy Scout tent where you have to fiddle around for half an hour just to get some shelter up. Which happened to me because Renee and I and her 2 boys, we went camping before this convoy. And we got to the campground, right? And it started to pour. And here I am trying to put this stupid tent up in the middle of a pouring rainstorm. It's hot and humid. My glasses were fogging up. I couldn't see for crap. Whereas we put the Easy Up, and that's where they were sheltered under the Easy Up in the rainstorm. We had that thing up in a minute. 1 minute, it was up. Shelter, instant shelter. I saw another rig, a mutt in that 416 trailer with the hard shell on top of it. That fella had an awning that you could put out the side of the trailer, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, but it just didn't work out. So think about those things. Think about shelter. Think about this scenario. You get into a place and a storm's coming, because that may happen, and it has happened. What are you going to do? Like I say, if you're in a camper converted deuce and a half or 5 ton, you don't really, you just go inside. But if you're in a Jeep like this and you're going to be staying camping, then you need to think about that. Yeah. The last thing is our Jeep commander, Jeep unit March unit leader John got our March unit cards that we got laminated, and I want to show you something. I got every piece of paper that I could from the convoy laminated. So here's my data card. These were not laminated when we got them because we had to fill them out, you see. But I had enough forethought to go to Staples when we were in Gettysburg, and I got all my paperwork that was exposed to the elements laminated. And if you're in an open vehicle, I strongly suggest that you zip to a Staples or some print shop somewhere that offers lamination services and get your paperwork laminated, because otherwise it's going to get ruined in the rain. It's just absolutely, because the rain drives different directions, it's going to get ruined. So yeah, that's about it that I can really think of that you're going to absolutely need, that I didn't think I was going to need. Like, for instance, my dad pushed the infrared thermometer. That was priceless. My dad pushed that 12-volt CFL. That was priceless. He wanted me to take an inverter, and I refused to take an inverter. I ended up buying one at Walmart on the road. That was priceless because of the radios, our comms. Sit in a dock, and they plug into the wall, and it's inconvenient when you're somewhere trying to find somewhere to plug in. It was really convenient because I had the inverter. I could charge the radio going down the road. I set it on a transmission tunnel. There it was. The radio was on and it was charging at the same time. My dad pushed that 12 volt air compressor. I wasn't going to bring it. I'm glad that I brought it. I ended up using it. Hey there, little stink bug. What are you doing? Yeah. So those are the things that I didn't think I was going to need, and I was absolutely dead wrong about. And I just want to share that with you. So with that, we're going to wrap up this video. May the wind be at your backs, and may you find all the gears. You know, grind them until you find them, as the kids say these days. We're going to go full send to get to my honey's house, and we'll see you out there sometime. Yeah. Until the next convoy, I'm just going to be working on getting a house built of my own and saving up some vacation time so I could possibly, if they hold another Bankhead convoy, I would like to partake in that. So that's where my mind's at right now. So we'll see you next time. And thank you everybody for watching, and the support and the applause and just the kind words. I never thought that I would get that kind of positive feedback, because like I've said before, to me it was just a personal record, like writing in a diary. But I didn't have to write in a diary. I caught these things, because so many things you saw, there's no way you could write that down. You just have to see it for yourself. And that's what this whole thing started out as. And it turned into a way for me to share the entire experience with everybody that didn't get to go on the convoy, or maybe they want to go on a convoy but they couldn't find anything out about what is it like. Do we have support? Are they just going to leave us behind if we break down? Are the people kind? You know, all those questions I feel like I answered in my web series, and I'm very thankful for that. Maybe I helped you out. And if I did, I would do it over in a heartbeat. So that was the secondary objective of this whole thing, after we got going and I started getting feedback. So, yeah. All right. I gotta get going. She's making dinner, so I'm out of here. See ya.